Okay, everyone, time for us to call the meeting to order for June 6, 2023. And I'd like to, at this time, recognize that we meet on the traditional territory of LHTAKO DENE Nation. Councillor Vic extends his regrets tonight. I'd like to now go to the approval of the agenda, and we have 3 late items. K2 is an admin report 71/23 FireSmart Inaugural Lynn Orstad Award. The next one is L16 Council Information Package, and 1 item will come forward, and that is the Coalition of Child Care Advocates for BC, and it's a request for a resolution of support. There's a late agenda attachment, and that is a council report from, Councillor Rudenberg on attendance at the North Central Local Government Association AGM. And I think that is it. So if I could get a motion, Councillor Runge, Councillor Rudenberg, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Council. We have no presentations tonight, but we do have a delegation, and this is from BC Transit. They're coming in virtually, and we have Aaron Thompson, who is the transit planner, and Lindsay Taylor, manager of government relations for the northern region. So take it away. I'm not sure who's going to be the lead here, but the floor, oh, I'm sorry, we got to go to staff. Okay, we need a motion to adopt the minutes of May 23. Councillor McKelvey and Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Carried. Adopt the regular council minutes of April 25, 2023. Councillor Goulet, Councillor Runge, all in favor? Carried. And adopt the public hearing minutes of April 25, 2023. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Rudenberg, all in favor? Carried. Okay, are we good to go now? All right, so now I've already introduced the delegation, so one of the 2 of you or both of you can take the lead. The floor is yours. One moment, we've got an audio issue here. If you could just bear with us. Don't we love our technology?
I'm going to sign out, and I'm going to sign right back in. Can you try speaking one more time for me?
Are you able to hear me now? Yeah, fabulous.
Thank you, wonderful. Okay, proceed.
Thanks, Council, for having us this evening. My name is Lindsay Taylor. I'm the Manager of Government Relations for Northern BC, and I'm joined with my colleague, Aaron Thompson, who is the Lead Transit Planner for Northern BC. So tonight we're going to provide a presentation. We haven't been to Quesnel Council in quite some time now, so we wanted to provide a bit of an overview of how we work together, what our roles are, how ridership has been recovering since COVID-19, and I'll provide an update as we do have a service change coming up in Quesnel. So with that, I will get started. Let's see if I can get this going. Oh, perfect. So yeah, that's the overview or the agenda that we have this evening. And so those are the different pieces that we'll be speaking about. A bit about myself, as I mentioned, I'm the Manager of Government Relations. So I'm the main point of contact for both staff and elected officials. I'm supported by a team of subject matter experts, so schedulers, planners, marketing folks, communications, a finance lead, and then also an operations manager as well. I lead our annual partner communication process, which you'll hear a little bit more about tonight. And basically my job is to identify any risk, elevate any risk, and be able to work with both staff and elected officials to identify any challenges within the system and how we are going to manage them and correct any of those. So that is my role. A bit about BC Transit. So we have a shared services model. We work with the provincial government. We work with the provincial government and 58 different local government partners. The provincial government sets provincial policy and provides oversight. They also provide the provincial share of funding for transit. BC Transit, we support the transit systems, again, with our subject matter experts. We manage all the operating contracts as well. And we do any sort of, and we also manage sort of the capital plan as well for the province. Our local governments, they set the fares and the routes. They manage all the fare, selling of fare products as well, and they're responsible for the local share of funding for the transit system. Through our shared services model, we do have two different types of funding. For the conventional transit systems, the province pays for about 47% of the transit system, where the municipality or the local government pays about 53% of that of the local share or of the transit system. For our custom transit, it's a little bit more expensive, so the province pays for 67% of transit, whereas the local share is about 33%. All of the fares that are received through the transit system are kept by the local government and help offset that local share, as well as any marketing. So any marketing that you see on board or on the bus, that also stays with the local government as well to offset any of the local costs.
Lindsay, could I just stop you there for one moment? Are you sharing a screen because we don't have it?
Oh, okay. Well, then hang on, because I would like you to see. 1 second. Oh, no, do I do that? Oh, share screen. My bad. Here we go. Can you see that now?
No.
How about now?
There it is. Thank you.
Okay,
well
fabulous. Sorry about that. You didn't miss much. You missed a picture of me so far. So you already said you already have one in front of you. So here we go. Hang on, back to here. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you in terms of the funding model. So there's those two graphs there. I also believe this is in your agenda package as well. So if you don't have that in your agenda package, I'll make sure that that gets to council as well. So for any review afterwards, for any questions that may come up. In terms of our annual communication calendar, there's 4 main touch points throughout the year. So there's our annual operating agreement that goes to council. So that defines the service that's going to be delivered over the year. And it also outlines both the provincial and the municipal funding contributions. We also have our annual performance summary. So that's where we are comparing the performance of the transit system to the year previous and also to other like systems. So we set up our systems in different tiers. And so Quesnel would be compared to, say, like a Williams Lake or a Fort St. John. So we do a comparison about some other like systems as well to see how those systems are performing against each other. We also have our 3-year budgets, and so that comes in the fall, and so that helps with the budgeting and the forecasting for the next 3 years. And then we have what we call our transit improvement program, and that's how we request expansion from the province. So typically we start that in about April, and we work with staff and with council to identify future expansion options or opportunities. We have some cost. We go through a costing process. We would bring an MOU to council to sign and to agree to the expansion or to submit the expansion for request for funding by the province. We put together then a service plan on our end and submit that to the province, and they evaluate through their budgeting process whether that's something that they're going to be able to fund for the next year. So we are in the midst right now of our expansion process or our transit improvement process, but that's not why we are here tonight. We're here to talk about our service change right now. So again, a bit about a ridership update. Overall, throughout the province, we're sitting at about a 90% recovery rate in most of our systems. And Quesnel is a little bit under that, but we are seeing an increase in ridership, and we're seeing great recovery here. I think Quesnel is sitting at about an 85% recovery, and that's pretty similar to what we are seeing in some other systems, those tier 3 systems. In the north, we actually didn't see such a drop that we did in other areas throughout the province. And that's because there is more of a base level service. People depend on that service with whatever conditions are going on within their community. So we are seeing some great recovery there, and we are hopeful that we'll see full recovery by next year. I'm going to pass it over to Aaron to talk a little bit about the July service change that we have coming up, and then I'll jump back in.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. As said, I'm Aaron Thompson, I'm a transit planner. In July, we're looking at a small service change that is partially the result of some of the that we didn't get a result required expansion to maintain the current level of service, as well as some small routing changes and schedule adjustments to improve reliability and to just more optimize the system. So the first of these changes is the Route 2. We're changing the route a little bit. It's no longer going to provide service to the Maple Park Mall. We're also making some changes to improve the legibility of our customer information in the Rider's Guide, and improving some of those various route variants on that route. The Route 3 has some changes to it into the downtown Quesnel area around around the hospital area, as well as changing to the Riverwalk Park area, where we're only providing on-request service. And both these changes were done due to just recommendations from the operating company about how we can improve the service. The service change itself is also supported by a media advisory and advertising campaign so that all our customers are aware of the upcoming changes, and they can make any adjustments as necessary.
And thanks, Aaron. Here. I want to speak a little bit about some BC Transit programs that we have ongoing and some exciting initiatives that are coming to Quesnel as well. So BC Transit also has a shelter program. It's a great program and a great way for us to be able to add transit supportive infrastructure into our communities. So through our shelter program, it is 80% joint funded between the province and the federal government. So the local share for a new shelter is only 20%, as well as setting up of the stop, the pad and whatnot, and then also the maintenance is also the local government's responsibility. So Quesnel actually was able to take advantage of this program in 2022, and we had a new shelter that was installed in the community. So it's really great to see that there's some uptake here in Quesnel. One of the other transit programs is we do have a fleet replacement program. So in March 2023, all of the light duty vehicles were replaced in Quesnel. This ensures that we have more reliable service because our vehicles are more reliable. There's less vehicle maintenance. We also had the addition of new 3-point seat belts, which improve safety on board. So we're excited to be able to deliver those to Quesnel this year. A few more corporate initiatives. One of the initiatives that's been installed and implemented in some other BC communities, it will be coming to Quesnel at some point. We're just waiting to hear we've submitted a business case and we're waiting to hear whether there's funding available for this. But it's called Next Ride. And Next Ride is where we install GPSs in all of our buses so that our customers are able to see where their bus is in real time. So they know whether they have time to go grab another coffee before they head over to their stop. The other piece with that is there's also visual displays that have been installed on board. So anyone with hearing impairments will be able to see where their bus is and what stop they're at. And also there's audio announcements both inside and outside the buses. So if a bus is pulling up to a stop, a customer will know what bus that is that is coming up to that's pulled up to the stop. So again, really excited that we're able to implement that, and excited that it will be coming to Quesnel sometime in the near future. But one of the other initiatives that will be coming to Quesnel, and this will be in early 2024, is our electronic fare collection system. So this is where our customers will be able to use their smartphone, their Apple Watch, or they're able to buy a card, a reloadable card, to be able to access the transit system. We'll still always be able to collect cash fares as well, but it provides other options for customers and also for visitors who are coming to Quesnel. And it'll also be able to be used all over the province. So we'll be doing some engagement late this fall with stakeholder groups and with our potential customers and at exchanges to let people know about this new system that's coming up and to support them through this change. And so we'll be excited to implement that and have that ready to go for early 2024. And that's the end of our presentation. So we're happy to take any questions at this time that council may have.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay and Aaron. Now I'll open up the floor to questions or comments from Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Lindsay and Aaron, for the presentation. First, an apology. It looks like our camera is pointing up at the ceiling. I guess we're going to have to get some tech support on this. But I have a quick question on placement of the bus stop signage. It just came to my attention, and maybe this is one for Aaron, I'm not sure, but it just came to my attention that there's a couple of bus stops right on Hydraulic in front of Frank's there. They seem to be in a very dangerous location, and if they were moved 50, 75 feet, it could really make life easier for the parents that are watching their kids and stuff getting off the buses. So I'm wondering if I could just zap an email with some pictures to someone and open up the conversation before we close on the July date.
I'll let Aaron take that one. He's more responsible for bus stops, but we're happy to support.
Yeah, if you want to send me that information, we can look at getting that change. It may not necessarily happen for July, but we can look at making those changes and those adjustments.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that.
And we do have bus stop infrastructure guidelines as well. And so we're happy to review those with staff to make sure that the bus stops that we do have installed are up to what the standards should be in relation to where signs are installed and how they're installed as well.
Okay, anyone else? I have a question, and that is and I looked on the website and I couldn't find this, and is there a somewhere where a person can go and compare fare box revenues between different jurisdictions?
So on our website, you would have to select a different system and go to the fares page to be able to see the different fares between different systems. I know we are working on updating our website and renewing our website, and so we'll see what new capabilities that new website has. But I'd say if you're looking to compare what the fares are, that would be the easiest way to do that. I will also say that through COVID, we did receive some funding from the province, some Safe Restart funding that we did sign an agreement to and made a commitment to keep fares maintained at current levels until the funding runs out. And so that will be in March 31st, 2025. So we are, if there are communities that are interested in reviewing their fares or increasing their fares, we're happy to start that work and do any fare review in advance of that date. But I just wanted to note that that would be the first date we'd be able to make any changes to fares.
Okay, thank you. It's a little bit of a departure here, and that is that I had a call earlier this afternoon from Area A Director Mary Schustrom with the Cariboo Regional District, and because conventional transit goes into her area, she does have a question. So with Council's indulgence, I'd like to ask Director Schustrom to come up and ask her question.
I have a couple of questions, and possibly, Aaron, for you. My understanding with this change to the service route 2 to eliminate Maple Park Mall, is that the entire route to be eliminated or just the stop at Maple Park?
It's just a stop at the Maple Park.
Okay, thank you. And I did speak with the transit people when we were up at Dawson Creek for the NCLGA, and it was pointed out that there could be a possible review on the ground here in Quesnel in 2024. Is that correct? I know you often do them, I think about once every 5 years, but possibly it's changed.
Yeah, it is possible. We don't have the work plan set for all of 2024 yet, but that is something that Quesnel is on the hopper of all the other Northern BC ones. So yeah, it is a possibility, but I can't guarantee anything yet.
Okay, so there could be a possible opportunity, and I understand budgeting and all that. I do have a small area, and I'll just communicate with city staff that it maybe would be a consideration when if and when you do decide to come up to Quesnel. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Schustrom. Is there any more comment or question from council? Seeing none. Lindsay and Aaron, thank you very much for your presentation. I'll give you a moment to clear the screen, and then in a moment we'll call forth the next delegation, which is the North Cariboo Seniors Council, and Dr. John Fine is the president and spokesperson for that group. So we'll just take a moment here to clear the technology. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Fine, it appears that we're ready. If you could come up and just press the green button to activate the microphone, and the floor will be yours.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for inviting us this evening. I'd like to start by introducing my fellow board members, Catherine Methane, Sally Service, Joanne Mills, and Anita Doby. And so that's who is here this evening. So who are we? We're not getting into the slideshow here, but maybe that's just the way it...
I don't have the slideshow, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. As it says there, we're an 8-member board. We're all volunteers, and the idea for the Seniors Council arose from the planning that went into the Age-Friendly Initiative a few years ago, and many of the members who were inputting into that committee subsequently became members of the council. Our mission statement is to protect and enhance the safety, quality of life, livability, and sustainability of our senior citizen community. As you realize, it's an enlarging community. The grey tsunami is coming. So we are trying to act as a sort of an umbrella organization to pull together all the things that are likely to benefit our seniors. I don't have my fly-ins, so you can read all the things there. We want to establish strong community partnerships, and the reason for that is that there's a lot of organizations in the community that cater to our seniors, but we're all siloed. There's the Old Age Pensioners Society organization, there's the Seniors Center, and many other organizations that do supportive work for seniors, like Lions as well. Rather than everybody trying to work in a vacuum, I think part of the role of the council will be to bring together all these different organizations and to coordinate things in a more effective way and a more efficient way. Safety and service obviously is key, and a sound financial management. So enhancing communications is what I've already mentioned, to create an inventory of these services, because there's a lot of services out there and people don't know where to go and what there is available for them to access. So we have done this, and we publish an information booklet, an information pamphlet. We are in the process of producing a new version because our last version, I won't say sold out because it was free, but it went like hotcakes. And there are many organizations, for example, Northern Health, that give these information pamphlets to their clients in order to help them to access services that they may not know about. We're updating this pamphlet every 6 months or so, because services that are offered change, and also contact numbers change as well. So in order to keep it current and relevant, we're updating it on a regular basis. We also try to identify gaps in the services our seniors need, so we hear from our seniors, and when we hear of a service that is not provided, we look into that. And so we will try to work towards filling the gaps where they exist. And we seek opportunities through grants, fundraising, and volunteerism to support our programs. So what do we have? We have the office in Spirit Square, which is kindly provided by the city, and that's a great help to us. It gives us a focus of where people can come and access services. So we have a fairly regular number of clients coming and asking questions about what services may be available on an as they need basis. I put they're operating 5 days a week. That's the plan. We're operating 4 days a week at the moment, but shortly we will be up to running 5 days a week. Similarly, we have information is available over the telephone. We have an office number, and it's manned at the same time. We put out a newsletter regularly, which you have a copy of our latest newsletter in front of you. The information booklet, as I mentioned, is updated semi-annually. We also have a website and a Facebook page. So we try to ensure that all our communication bases are covered. So what other programs do we offer? We have a meals program, and that's because food security, or rather food insecurity, is a significant issue amongst seniors. So our volunteers make frozen, cook and freeze approximately 200 meals a month. These are distributed to clients throughout the community, as well as some of the clients are in the regional district, predominantly Area A. So that involves our volunteers and organizations in the community who provide the facilities for us to actually cook the meals and to freeze them. And then they're distributed on a monthly basis. And so what we find is that they can be popped in the freezer and just microwaved when needed. A lot of our seniors have fairly small appetites, so some of the meals will actually make 2 meals. We have a snow removal program which services about 30 clients. As you can appreciate, many seniors are not physically capable of shoveling snow themselves, and that leads to them being shut in during the winter, and also may prevent services from accessing them at times of need. Services, for example, home care, home nursing services, and of course emergency services. And we ask our snow person to make sure that the access is wide enough to allow for 2 paramedics and a gurney if that's needed. In the summer, that rolls over into a yard works program, and that enables seniors to maintain their yards and maintain their presence in their home, which they might otherwise have to give up if they weren't able to A, do the yard work themselves, or B, afford to pay somebody to do that. And we provide a service to about 30 clients. Again, the snow removal service and the yard work service, we are paid services, so we fundraise to be able to pay a person to provide those services. It's difficult to provide that type of service on a consistent basis using only volunteers. We have recently expanded to become the host organization for Better at Home. Better at Home is an organization which does great work in assisting seniors to stay in their homes as long as possible. We hear a lot about aging in place, and a lot of seniors wind up having to accept placement in long-term care, and in our community that would either mean in Mayford Place or in Dunrovin, and maybe then just not mentally ready for that, or even if they are physically needing those services. So there's approximately 400 clients. It runs out of an office on Reed Street. And the service provides service within Quesnel and an area and part of the regional district, and there's increased funding this year to allow for the services to be expanded to Wells, out onto the NASCO Road a bit, on the old Prince George Highway, and south to Alexandria. So that's going to take in a lot more services and people who are vulnerable. Transportation services, we have a donation of transit passes, 50 per month, which are distributed to those that need, and we also have volunteer drivers to assist clients getting to medical appointments. So our sponsors are the City of Quesnel, very generously, has supported us through the COVID funds for the last 3 years. United Way is a major provider of sponsorship and provides us totally the funding to run Better at Home. So that's funneled through our organization, but is totally funded by United Way. United Way also provides some grant money to the council itself. BC Gaming has provided funding in the past. The Quesnel Foundation and a number of local businesses have stepped up to help us with either donations in kind or in cash. Other organizations in town that have provided support for us has been the Chamber of Commerce, Victim Services, and so forth. So we are very grateful for the support that we have received in the community, but fundraising is time-consuming, and it takes a lot of effort. And so the purpose of this presentation is to hopefully encourage council to continue to provide some degree of support on an ongoing basis so that we can plan our programs ahead and not on an ad hoc basis from year to year, depending on where we get our grant money from. So I'll leave it at that and ask for questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fine. Now I'm going to open the floor up to questions and comments from council members. It's unfortunate that we don't have Councillor Vic here, because he is certainly the champion of the cause from the council perspective. So.
Yes, he has been, and he regularly attends our meetings to represent council.
Yes, and he does a good job of keeping us up to date. So is there anything from council at this point? Okay, well, I'd like to, on behalf of council, thank you for coming out and updating us. I'll give you a little bit of information here, and this has to do with the seniors expedition to Barkerville. And we haven't announced it yet, but I'm putting it out first to the Seniors Council, and you can make a note of the date. It is Thursday, August 24. So there will be a press release coming out probably within the next week. Thank you. Thank you. So there's nothing from council, no further questions or comments. So thanks for coming out tonight and updating us. And we'll just take a moment for you to clear the deck, and then we'll get going with our regular agenda. Okay, the next item on the agenda is that, okay, we do not have any business arising or anything rising from special close. We have no unfinished business, no committee reports, council reports and discussion items. The first one is J1, and it's from myself, and it's relative to my attendance at the 2023 North Central Local Government Association AGM and convention that was held recently in Dawson Creek. It was a very full agenda. I was particularly interested in the material that dealt with emergency management, and I suppose with with the flooding and the wildfires and so on, and the land slippage. Emergency management is something that sort of bubbles to the top for me. One thing that I picked up that might be useful is that Dawson Creek has flood sensors and alarms, and our emergency planning should include Indigenous land knowledge, which I found to be quite interesting. In fact, local emergency planning should pursue formal inclusion of our First Nations communities, and in particular for Quesnel, the LHTAKO DENE Nation in our emergency disaster planning. At another session, we heard from MLA Rolly Russell, who is the Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Development, and he presented on how he helped the town of Grand Forks, he lives down there in the Boundary Country, through their flooding response, and it was very, very interesting. He led the planning and development of a new model for community-led disaster recovery in Grand Forks and the whole Boundary region relative to flooding. So I think that if we wanted to look to Rolly for some advice, I think that that's a great opportunity for us. As part of our climate action planning, it would be interesting to follow the example of the District of Hudson's Hope. They are, per capita, BC's most solar-dependent community with the lowest carbon footprint. There were several speakers covering the Climate Action Network, including Don Pettit, Executive Director of the Peace Energy Renewable Energy Program. Other lessons learned that the city may use. I attended all sessions in addition to those mentioned above and have notes on risk assessment, the Canada Community Building Fund, Community and Public Safety, NDIT, NCLGA, Strategic Planning, and Mental Health Crisis Continuum, and in-depth discussions on Part 3 of the Accessibility Act. Finally, I would recommend that we consider hosting a future NCLGA conference, and that, of course, we're hosting the Winter Games next year, but perhaps we might do that with our neighbors from the CRD. So that's something that we can discuss in the future. So all of that is respectfully submitted by myself, and I would invite a motion to accept that report. Moved Councillor McKelvey, seconded Councillor Rudenberg. Any questions, discussion? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. The next item is a late item or a late agenda attachment, and that is the 2023 North Central Local Government Association AGM and Convention report submitted by Councillor Rudenberg.
Thank you. Interesting that our very first initiative the city may consider pursuing both have to do with the EMBC. I kind of cut and paste what that session was about. That's what you'll find here. And I know that, being a new term or whatever, I thought it might be one of those pieces that as a council, understanding our roles as elected officials during such time if we have any kind of emergencies happening. So I think that with the help of city staff and EMBC, there's an opportunity there to give council a kind of an orientation on what we should and should not do during any kind of disaster we might incur. The other major piece for me was a meeting with Northern Health, and we discussed a list of questions and concerns that we have in our community, and you'll see those listed below. The answers that I got from Northern Health are in the brackets, so you'll see there's about 6 different questions and comments that were given to Northern Health with their answers. One of the ones that was really interesting for me was when we talked about the shortage of family doctors and healthcare workers here. We also talked about how well our healthcare recruitment and retention program was working, and you'll see the numbers there that we currently have, and that over the next couple of years we have 6 potential spots that will be filled, along with 2 locums who are interested in being in Quesnel. They're looking, as I had spoke to earlier, in regards to how to support communities with their clean teams, and so that is something hopefully that will be coming out shortly for Northern Health communities. And when we asked, how can the City of Quesnel assist them, and support Northern Health in general, they came right out and without hesitation talked about advocating for the LPN program to return to CNC. It's something that hasn't been there for several years, so that was their big ask. And the piece around the BC housing, they didn't know that we had the Vulnerable Population Services and Housing Options Review here, but they know that there needs to be a proactive relationship in any type of housing moving forward. For me, other lessons learned is basically, looking for those opportunities to sit and discuss with with our communities across the north about like-minded issues, and look for opportunities to partner with them, because we all know that a louder voice sometimes get heard rather than just a single community. And the mayor is correct. It would be nice to host NCLGA. It's been several years since we've had it, but I know that our staff are sort of hair straight back until after the 2024 games. So perhaps next year we can put our bid in for a couple years down the road. So I'd like to move that my report be accepted and open for further discussion.
Okay, that's moved by Councillor Rudenberg, seconded by Councillor Elliott. And Councillor Elliott, do you have a comment?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Rudenberg, for the report. So exactly how would Northern Health like us to advocate for the LPN program? Because that's something that we should be getting on board with ASAP.
Basically, it's how we advocate to CNC and their board of directors. I know that Director Schustrom has been on that board and probably could give us some hints on how we can start advocating for those programs, because we know it doesn't happen overnight. We can't just say we want it and it happens next term. It's all about funding and space and whatever. But they would like to see us, I'm sure with the help of Northern Health, we could probably figure out the correct wording when we advocate for it. But it's something that they said that they'd like to see reinstated again.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else before we move on? Did we vote? Did we have a vote on that? Okay, then I do have a mover and a seconder, right? Vote to accept Councillor Rudenberg's report.
It's just information.
Well, we had a vote to accept my report, so I didn't want. Okay, we will move on. So now we're going to go to city staff reports. K1, admin report 70/23, Memorial Procession Road closure request. City Manager Johnston to report on behalf of Director Reichert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the purpose of this report is to request permission to close off the 100 to 300 block of Kinchin Street on June 11th between 12:20 to 1, and then again from 1:45 to 2 p.m. The Quesnel Fire Department will be having a line of duty death procession for Lieutenant Brian Morgan on Sunday, June 11th. And then a saluting ceremony or saluting parade after the ceremony back up Kinchin Street again. The procession will start at City Hall parking lot and proceed down the small portion of Saint Laurent Avenue to Kinchin, and then we'll continue down Kinchin to the city parking lot between the Royal Canadian Legion and St. Andrews. It will continue to the rear area of the Quesnel Senior Centre, where there will be a celebration of life and a color guard bell service inside the Senior Centre. The saluting parade will take place after that, and the RCMP will be assisting with traffic and closure of the street. So the chief is asking for the permission of council to, for permission and approval to block off Kinchin Street, as mentioned in the report earlier. And the recommendation is that Quesnel City Council approves closure of the 100 to 300 block of Kinchin Street from Carson Avenue to Saint Laurent Avenue on Sunday, June 11th, 2023, between 12:20 and 1 p.m. and then 1:45 to 2 p.m. for the line of duty death procession for Lieutenant Brian Morgan. And it should be noted that the City Public Works Department is providing assistance as required. Just by way of a little bit of background, Brian Morgan was a very active volunteer firefighter for the Quesnel Fire Department and the City of Quesnel for 29 years, from 1991 to 2020. He passed away on May 19th after a long, courageous battle with cancer. Brian's passing is classed as a line of duty death, as his illness was recognized as a long-term occupational disease from firefighting. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, City Manager. I have Councillor Runge moving and Councillor McKelvey seconding the approval. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you for that. The next item is Admin Report 71/23, FireSmart Inaugural Lynn Orstad Award. I'm going to go now to Forestry Manager Robinson to report on this one.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this report is to bring to attention of Council the City's Forestry Initiatives Manager receiving the inaugural Lynn Orstad Award in May of 2023. In memory of Lynn Orstad, FireSmart BC created this award to recognize women in BC or Alberta who have contributed to furthering wildfire resiliency in their community, agency, or province. The Lynn Orstad Award, Women in Wildfire Resiliency, is an annual award honoring women who have made significant contributions to wildfire resilience, and the recipients this year in the inaugural year was myself, Erin Robinson, City of Penticton Emergency Program Coordinator Brittany Siebert, and FireSmart Program Advisor Deanna Suddaby. And I went down last month and accepted this award, and I just want to close by saying, although it's important for me personally and professionally to be recognized by my peers and one of the three recipients, without the hard work of all the homeowners, thousands of homeowners in Quesnel doing FireSmart and doing that hard work, that this wouldn't have been possible. So thanks to all of our citizens, and this really is a community award in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin, and congratulations. Well done. Any comments? Whoa, that's very nice, very nice. Councillor Elliott.
Just congratulations, Aaron. You did us proud.
Yeah, you make us look good. Thank you. So now we move on to council information package, and there is one item, and I'm not sure which number it is. It's number 6, and I'm going to go to Ria just to read the summation of that before we move on it.
The mayor received a letter from Sharon Gregson of the Coalition of Child Care Advocates of BC. They're asking for the City of Quesnel to provide a UBCM resolution stating, whereas the Ministry of Education and Child Care is responsible for BC's $10 a day child care program, and Child Care BC's growing system of universal child care has been life-changing for families with demand for outstripping supply, and whereas the current grant-based process to expand universal child care relies on grant applications to coordinate all aspects of design and implementation, and local and Indigenous governments and nonprofit organizations often lack the resources of successfully managing this process in accordance with UBCM-funded childcare needs assessments and action plans. Therefore, be it resolved that while the province continues to rely on individual grant programs to plan and develop childcare expansion, that instead the province provide multi-year funding to local and Indigenous governments and nonprofit organizations to support resources to coordinate this process. And be it further resolved that UBCM urged the Ministry of Education and Childcare to replace the current grant-based application process with a systematic expansion of universal childcare that upholds UNDRIP obligations and supports the involvement of, but does not rely on, local and Indigenous governments and nonprofit organizations to coordinate design and implementation.
Okay, thank you. I will open the floor to council to possibly, hopefully, make a resolution that follows the sample resolution that is on page 2 of the letter. Councillor Elliott is moving, and Councillor McKelvey is seconding. Councillor City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is actually quite a late-breaking item in front of council. You'll see that it's dated June 4th. I was just wondering, before we approve this resolution, I see that they're not suggesting that it's got a large number of different municipalities that have backed it up. Maybe we should talk to some of our local child care providers and provide that, a bit of a review of this letter to council before you pass a resolution on it. We could still do that, I believe, in time for any UBCM resolution required. But it'd be nice to get that local touch, because this letter did come, this coalition is based out of Vancouver, so there might be a bit of a different viewpoint from the north. Just a thought.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that thought did cross my mind, but I'm wondering, are we under the gun as far as UBCM deadline, Councillor Rudenberg?
June 30th.
Okay, so we've got maybe one more meeting. So, okay, so go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the comments from the city manager, but I don't think there's any negative in moving this forward at this point in time. It's just asking for more, and just with the people that I've talked to, there's more needed, absolutely. So I don't see any negatives in doing it at this point in time. So I would suggest that we just move forward on it.
Okay, moving forward we have a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence, pardon me. No, there's nothing more for the council information package. The next item is a letter from the LHTAKO DENE Nation. Deputy Clerk, I wonder if you could just summarize that letter.
We received a letter May 26th from LHTAKO DENE. When we celebrated the announcements of the naming of the LHTAKO DENE Park and revealed the plans we'd created together for the park, the community of Likely representatives noted that they were excited that the City of Quesnel had offered to repatriate the Likely steam shovel to the Bullion Pit. Repatriating artifacts and good faith partnerships are important to our nation. We were very disappointed to learn that Quesnel City Council has reneged on its good faith offer. We hope this reversal is not indicative of how Quesnel City Council will deal with other good faith agreements and partnerships. As a nation, we believe that it does not matter how or why artifacts were removed from communities they belong to. It only matters that they be restored to their rightful place. We respectfully ask that you follow through on your original commitment.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Before we do that, I just want to say that the LHTAKO DENE Park and the creation of that park and the denaming of it from Seal Tingley Park is the very reason that we have moved the steam shovel. And I don't know if council members have had the opportunity to read yesterday's electronic edition of the Cariboo Observer, but there's quite a story in there on the steam shovel, the latest, and that newspaper article contains a statement from the Likely Community Group that in part indicates that they are happy that the steam shovel will be kept here in Quesnel. And it's even indicated within that news story that it's hoped that the steam shovel would eventually find a permanent home in the RV parking area down by the Sandy Station. And in fact, the headline on the newspaper story even indicates that that steam shovel down at that location would be a giant calling card for likely. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, to the letter, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't read the whole thing, but I think it just points out how disappointed the nation is and with us reneging on our agreement with them and with likely. Mr. Mayor, if you're bringing any kind of information like this forward, it would have been appreciated that we all had a copy of that to be able to read it, because I don't know who wrote it. I have no context on that whatsoever. So it's something that we've talked about with our conduct here in chambers, that we bring the facts forward. We don't just talk about things and kind of assume. So it's hard for me to comment on something that I've never read, sir.
Well, it's there on the internet for everybody to read. So,
well, thank you, sir. But with respect, if you could have brought that up earlier, we could have had a discussion on it, but I haven't been able to read it. So I don't have the time to bring it up now.
Yeah, I just picked it up last night on the internet, and I was in Prince George all day today, so I apologize. Anything more? Councillor Rudenberg.
Thank you. So I'd like to know how council is going to respond to this letter.
Well, I think that I would be happy to respond to it in view of what I'm reading here, and also in view of the fact that that we have reconsidered this item twice, and I don't think that we can reconsider a third time. So, Councillor Elliott.
To your point, Mr. Mayor, we still have to have a conversation of where that steam shovel is going to end up. So yeah, we will be revisiting it again.
Thank you. Is there anything more? Councillor Rudenberg.
Thank you. So in consideration of this letter, again, how are we going to respond to this? Because I don't think they want to hear about any newspaper article. Their main concern is about good faith partnerships. And so how are we going to respond to this in a timely fashion that allows them to understand that we still respect the partnerships and the MOU that we've signed with them? So how are we going to respond to this letter?
Councilor or City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if council will put their minds back a couple of months, in November, we actually had the same issue come up where LHTAKO, at the very start of the term of this council, we did receive a letter from LHTAKO First Nation asking about the status of our relationship moving forward with LHTAKO. And at that point in time, council did pass two resolutions. The first resolution approved was moved Councillor Rudenberg's, seconded Councillor Vick, and resolved that council affirms that they remain committed to the relationship and reconciliation initiatives that we have underway with LHTAKO DENE, and that they remain a priority for our communities. The second resolution, again, moved Councillor Rudenberg and seconded Councillor Elliott, and resolved that council recognize the importance of the current reconciliation initiatives underway in partnership with LHTAKO DENE, including the community forest, LHTAKO Cultural Centre, LHTAKO DENE Park, a residential school commemorative space at City Hall, and that these initiatives remain a priority for the City of Quesnel. So both of those resolutions were carried unanimously. So I think in a sense, even though that's the answer before this letter, it's still the answer that I believe is being asked for, and perhaps there needs to be a letter sent to LHTAKO along with a copy of these resolutions saying, please see these resolutions which were approved in November. Like, serve towards answering that question about the commitment to LHTAKO from the City of Quesnel. That would be the suggestion based on those resolutions that we already have. Thank you.
So, Councillor Rudenberg, does that help as far as crafting a response?
I think that's what they're looking for. They need to rehear it. I mean, they definitely need to understand, or they need to hear from us that we are still on that path with them. And despite what has been going on with the steam shovel, they need to hear from us.
Okay, City Manager, maybe you and I could get together and craft a response and perhaps float that response back to council before it goes to LHTAKO. Would that be fair? I'm taking that as a yes. So there's our, I don't think we need a motion to move ahead on that. Councillor Runge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually believe that between the two of you, I don't think it has to come back to council if we cover the points that were just stated by the city manager.
Okay, is that fair? I think that Councillor Rudenberg sort of has an interest in seeing how, and maybe Councillor Elliott had an interest in seeing how this response is crafted. So I don't have a problem sharing that with you. Whoever wants to even join the discussion. Okay, can we then move on from that one? That just about. Oh, bylaws. Oh, we don't have any bylaws. We don't have any new business. We don't have any changes to upcoming council meeting schedules. We don't have any changes to committee appointments. Announcements on future events, anyone? Okay. Oh, Councillor Runge.
Yeah, I believe there's two announcements. One, to remind the public that this Saturday is our final voting day for the Paull referendum, and number two, also that there's the Pride parade on Saturday.
Thank you, Councillor Goulet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a reminder, we are in June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day at the Helen Dixon Center. So there'll be more information coming out and posters coming out. So look forward to that in your inboxes.
And Councillor Rudenberg.
Okay, so this is something that's already passed. Last week, we had an amazing team put on Minerals North in the community. It's the first time that Minerals North has been held south of Highway 16, and Charlene Lawrence and her team did an outstanding job putting it on. We had well over 300 delegates. Everything was sold out, and the only complaint I heard was the fact that we didn't have enough taxis, and the very next day I understand that we had a new taxi company talking about coming to Quesnel. So if that's the only thing that they wanted to talk about, we did a really good job, and it's kudos to Charlene and her team.
Thank you. And some of the feedback that I was getting that there was no parking, and when I went to my luncheon meeting at the Rotary Club at the Legion, I got the same message, and I said, hang in there, we'll get that parking lot paved pretty quick here, and then people should be happy. So it's good. I mean, that is a good sign to say that, that parking is at a premium. I mean, the event was sold out, very, very successful, and kudos to the organizers because I received many, many compliments on how that Minerals North convention was held. So thank you for that. Nothing more for upcoming events. We don't have anybody in the gallery. George, have you got a question tonight? Please come up here and entertain us. No? Well, we did that. Yeah, we did that. But I'll say it again. Saturday is referendum day, and also the Pride Parade. Okay, so I'm looking now for a resolution to adjourn. Councillor Runge, Councillor Rudenberg, all in favor? Carried, and we would like to now clear the decks because we're going to move into a special closed session of council.